I feel like there's creativity in the way people articulate and speak and say about things.
Yeah.
So the way I want to bring it up is kind of the way I see creativity within myself.
Yeah.
And also how that can be framed. I think there's just so much power with words, and that itself for me is creativity. For your aspect, what does creativity mean to you?
Creativity for me is, I just consider it synonymous with the word expression. Like, that's just how you choose to project how you feel. Creativity for me is like makeup, dancing, and fashion is how I project my expression on how I feel outside. That's my way of letting out what I think, what's in my head.
Right.
But I feel like creativity can also go and branch off into different things, because you do have to have a sense of creativity to be able to articulate a certain way. You also have to have a sense of creativity to understand a different dynamic for building a car, for whatever it may be. There's always a sense of creativity that goes into everything. So for me, it's just your creativity is your expression and how you choose to express it.
And it's crazy how we can go about that in many directions based on, people's preferences of lifestyle or what they find that is very unique. And I think, that's why the series can also be so broad and how we can bring about different people. And it will ultimately just come down to how we can how we can highlight and dive really deep into people's minds. And I think that's what I'm really excited about, just for them to share their experience and their passion, because I love being around passionate people, and that's kind of why I was like, I'm super down to partner up with you and see what we can create with this thing. Hey, welcome back to On The Go Voice Podcast Season 3. And I'm excited to have this back on, guys. If you've been supporting the podcast and the brand and the people that I've had along, I'm excited to take you guys on a new journey. Season 3, instead of just having 2 series, we're going to have a total of 8 series, which means that will tackle creativity, relationship, finance, business, health and wellness, spirituality, mental health, and maybe I'll just throw in an extra series just for the fuck of it. But with that being said, this is our first episode. I'll introduce you guys to my co-host, Samara, for Express Creativity. Hey, what's up, everyone? You're listening to On The Go Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Sabiaga, and this is Season 3. So if you've been keeping up, thank you for supporting the content and the brand itself. I'm very excited for what we have now. And with that being said, with this podcast, it's grown to the point where I wanted to include different series. And this series allowed me to tackle different categories that I wanted to talk about when it comes down to what kind of conversations and discussions I wanted to bring about to the community and the younger generation. One of the series that I'm excited to have for this upcoming month of January is Express Creativity. And within this series, I have multiple co-hosts that will help me facilitate and also create the content together, bring upon new guests. And the co-host that I will have for the first series, Express Creativity, is Samara right here.
Yes.
So thank you for taking the time to volunteer and also do the part with me to do some work. So I'm excited to have you on to kind of tackle on what your aspects and perspectives when it comes down to creativity. And you're a very creative person, individual yourself. If you guys have seen his posts about on Instagram and everything, what he does, I'll let him kind of talk about that, which is really interesting. But with that being said, for anyone who doesn't know you, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and what you do right now, Samara?
Okay, my name is Samara Sin. I am 23 years old and I do makeup for a living. I work for makeup brands as a brand ambassador for a lot of different makeup brands now, and I'm basically kind of building up my own brand to eventually open up my own line of makeup. So right now I'm kind of doing makeup, posting looks, getting sponsorships, getting packages from companies, and just kind of building up.
Okay, nice. You said you're doing it. You're getting packaged and sponsored for. Where's your platform running it now? Why don't you share that to people?
Well, I mostly post on Instagram. I have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. My Instagram is at Samara Sin Official. My Twitter is the Samara Sin, and my Facebook is just Samara Sin. And it's all makeup oriented, really. There's still some dancing because I do come from a dancing background.
That's right.
Back in the days.
Tell us about that. I mean, before you got into like the makeup scene and just being creative with all that, how did you get involved?
Okay. Before I started makeup, it was always something I liked. It was always something I saw, but it was never. I didn't think of it as something that like would become a career for me.
Right.
I come from a dancing background. I danced in high school. I competed after high school, and that was like my life. And I think it was once I graduated high school, I started dancing in competitions in LA, and that kind of involved makeup and costumes and dancing all in one. But dancing was always my main focus. And it wasn't until like I took a long break from everything that kind of refocused my vision and made me kind of fall in love with makeup.
Interesting. What kind of dancing were you involved with?
I used to do hip hop dancing in high school for my high school scene, but that, we're past that.
You're past that now. Cool. Well, I'm glad that you're here because now you get to share some of your ideas in the sense of creativity.
Yeah.
With that being said, what? Obviously, when I posted this on Instagram, I was asking for codes to see if anybody was interested because I love working with people.
Yeah, of course.
We're looking forward to getting ideas from other people as well, and also picking their brains and also seeing what we can create together. What made you decide to reach out and work out with me?
I think it's because I've seen how much your brand has grown since the beginning, since you started your podcast. So I think for me, it was kind of a way to put our two very different minds, because we live two very different lifestyles. But
totally.
There are a lot of, very, very different lifestyles. And I just felt like it was going to be something really good for me to also be able to understand your point of view on creativity, considering you come from technically a different type of creativity, because everyone's creative in a sense.
That's true.
But to me, I come from a branch of different types of creativity. So for me, it was like, this is a perfect chance for me to, one, be able to vocalize how I view creativity and how I live my life.
It's true. I think creativity is very subjective.
Yeah.
I think there's a sense of rhetoric in creativity. Like for me, I think it's funny. It's kind of weird. I have like a sense. I feel like there's creativity in the way people articulate and speak and say about things. Yeah. So the way I want to bring it up is kind of the way I see creativity within myself.
Yeah.
And also how that can be framed. I think there's just so much power with words, and that itself for me is creativity. For your aspect, what does creativity mean to you?
Creativity for me is, I just consider it synonymous with the word expression. Like, that's just how you choose to project how you feel. Creativity for me is like makeup, dancing, and fashion is how I project my expression on how I feel inside. That's my way of letting out what I think, what's in my head.
Right.
But I feel like creativity can also go and branch off into different things, because you do have to have a sense of creativity to be able to articulate a certain way. You also have to have a sense of creativity to understand a different dynamic for building a car, for whatever it may be. There's always a sense of creativity that goes into everything. So for me, it's just your creativity is your expression and how you choose to express it.
And it's crazy how we can go about that in many directions based on people's preferences of lifestyle or what they find that is very unique. And I think that's why the series can also be so broad, and how we can bring about different people, and it will ultimately just come down to how we can how we can highlight and dive really deep into people's minds. And I think that's what I'm really excited about, just for them to share their experience and their passion, because I love being around passionate people, you know. And that's kind of why I was like, yeah, like I'm super down to partner up with you and see what we can create with this thing, you know. But for you, what are you looking forward to creating with this series? I know this is totally new to you, probably have never been. It's totally something different.
This is something totally completely different.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what I really am looking forward to, is how far it'll push me into this world. Because this is a completely different world than the makeup influencer world. It's completely different. But it'll also help me kind of understand how different people's perspective, which is always a good thing when it comes to being an influencer, is understanding different points of views from different walks of life.
Exactly.
So I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is really understanding the different perspectives and seeing where people come from, why they chose that path. And I feel like that'll also help me kind of narrow my own path and kind of figure out exactly the direction I want.
And like just gather different perspectives as well. It's always nice to just implement different things when it comes down to it, you know. With the makeup industry, what have you seen so far? I mean, we already have a couple of guests that we have, you know, that's gonna be outside of different creativity as well. But with the makeup industry, what do you feel that you think that has really sparked your interest, that's kept you, you know, interested in just being a part of this?
It's kind of funny, like, for me, the most interesting thing about makeup and the makeup world is how cutthroat it is, and how so many people will do anything to get above you. And for me, that's competition, and that only pushes my creativity, which that, for whatever reason, sparks my aesthetic of makeup even further. Like, that's what makes me want to do more and do better.
What are some of the works that you've done? I know some of the work, but I'm not familiar with it. It's very unique, and I would say even bizarre in a way, because I'm not so used to it. You know, it's like a dark and light.
Bizarre is technically the correct term, because it's not something that people see commonly, really. I do you know, makeup that normal, quote unquote, normal people can wear, like women that want to do makeup. I do some looks like that, but I prefer to kind of push the boundaries of what you expect somebody to be able to do with makeup. So my aesthetic, I really like to push it to the furthest extent.
Can you describe? I know that people can't see it, because I wish I could just throw out like slide points, you know.
Right here.
But how would you describe your makeup aesthetics?
I would describe it as like, I like to turn myself into like something you would see in Alice in Wonderland. Like, it's so jacked up and like out of the world that you're like, what? But you can't help but, it's just very visually stimulating. Like, you can't help but just be interested in what it is.
Right.
So I try to go for like brighter colors, or kind of go for like a half human, half animal, or just fully turn into an animal. Just something that you do not expect from any other person. Yeah. And I don't know why that's the type of makeup that I'm drawn to, but it's the way my mind works.
So I mean, it probably pushes you a little more, right? Because then now you're also finding a way to not just turn yourself into a quote unquote animal, but glamorize it. Right?
Yes, and it's definitely kind of finding that really thin line between like just a weird makeup and something that still has a sense of glamour and still has a sense of like luxury and bouginess. Some people will say.
You got a little glitter and everything.
Glitter everywhere. I make all my props, all my costumes, all my headpieces myself. So it really is.
That's cool as hell.
It's a lot of work that goes into it, but I feel like the final product is always worth it. And clearly the brands also agree.
And it's cool because I've seen a lot of like people from Twitter with that are just like, I mean, they start off as males, and you know, I'm not sure exactly what they identify as. However, they do a really great job on just like transforming themselves into what other people might say is women. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think everyone is valid in their truth, and whatever you believe you want to do with your aesthetic and your style is fine. I am a very strong believer in, I don't like wearing makeup if I am not going to fully do my makeup. Like, I enjoy being a guy, living a normal life, and then going home and turning myself into an elephant or a swan or
That's crazy.
a turkey or whatever, whatever it may be.
That's so crazy.
So I enjoy the transformation aspect. But then people always are confused because I say I don't like wearing makeup because I don't. I mean,
every time I see you, I mean, you don't. Do you ever go out in public, kind of?
Never.
Except,
I mean, there are times where like I'll do a makeup look and I'll just be so hungry, I'll just go to the Jack in the Box dressed as like a freak of nature, and the person at the register is like, "What the hell? Like, so can I get taco sauce or what are we doing here?"
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So you only do it purposely just for the content as well?
Yeah, I definitely consider makeup my job. Like, that is work, and I'm not going to spend 4 hours to just go outside and go to the Starbucks. Like, I would rather put in the work because I know it's for a brand and it's for something so much more than just
crazy
going out.
It's crazy how that has evolved ever since, like, especially with social media now.
Yeah.
Like, back then, makeup was just a way to cover yourself and hide your flaws, My gosh. By the way, thank you for these cough drops.
Of course. No
it's
problem.
helped out. Gosh, I'm tired of being sick. Anyways, other than that, I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to add on, or when it comes down to the series that we're having?
I mean, not really. I'm honestly just genuinely excited to see
me too.
Everybody that's gonna come on and kind of the conversations that are gonna kind of just come out from it, because you really never really know what somebody's gonna think on a specific, basically on a specific part of creativity. Like, and some people are really sensitive about what they do, and some people are more defensive about it, and some people are just open. So I'm really curious but excited to kind of see everybody's point of view and just see where it all goes. That's exciting.
Sure. Okay, cool. So you already kind of said where people can find you at, right? For anybody that might be listening, do you have anything you might want to tell them while they're listening?
I mean,
excuse me.
The only thing I really could say is, don't think whatever you're doing right now is what you're going to be doing forever. You never know. Because I thought dancing was going to be my career forever. And I got over that real quick. Especially once I started seeing the money coming in from the makeup. Everything changed very quickly.
Just being open-minded.
Just be open-minded to doing different things. And really, don't be scared to push yourself. Like, you really never know what you're capable of until you dive into something.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, excited to have you on for season 3 for this series. So we'll wrap that up and I'll put this up as soon as possible. But other than that, guys, look forward for our guest for this series. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.